I swear I'm going to do something else eventually. But today we have what I'm calling the Ixalan double feature. Original Ixalan and Rivals of Ixalan. My local game store happened to have these in stock when I popped in, so I decided to get one of each because I really like Ixalan as a setting. And I figured, why not? It's a video. So we're starting with original Ixalan here. I'm not entirely sure what the big hits in this set would be, but you know, we're here to enjoy cool cards. We've got a Fathom Fleet Cutthroat, a 3/3 human pirate for 3 and a black, and when it enters the battlefield, you destroy target creature an opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. I would imagine that's decent and limited if there's pinging in the set, but probably not exactly a constructed all-star here. We've got a Nest Robber, a 2/1 dinosaur for 1 red with haste. That's about as basic as it gets, but it'll get the job done. I quite like the art on this. Let me get that nice close so you can get a good look at it. That's an oddly cute dinosaur there. Although I guess he is stealing some eggs, which is a not so cute activity. Next up is Sunrise Seeker, a 3/3 human scout for 4 and white with vigilance, and when it enters the battlefield it explores. Explore is one of those keywords where I can never quite remember what it is. I get it mixed up with discover, and now we've got descend. I really can't get those straight in my head. But luckily this one actually has reminder text, unlike a lot of cards. So it's reveal the top card of your library, put it into your hand if it's a land, otherwise put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, and then put the card back or put it into your graveyard. That seems pretty solid. We've got Sailor of Means, so I guess this fella got some money on him. So 1/4 human pirate for 2 and a blue. When it enters the battlefield, you create a colorless treasure token, which you can tap and sacrifice to add 1 mana of any color. This actually seems pretty solid. I mean, it basically refunds 1 mana, so it's essentially a 2 mana 1/4 with decent type synergies. That seems, again, fine and limited, not so great and constructed. Then there's Crash the Ramparts. Ah, man. This is, I mean, okay, so it's an instant. 2 and a green gives a creature +3/+3 and trample until end of turn, which isn't that great, but I used to play Commander with someone who had a Yargle and Multani Voltron deck, and I have fond memories of this ending quite a few games. We've got Pirate's Cutlass, an equipment for 3 mana. When it enters the battlefield, it attaches itself to a target pirate you control. The equipped creature gets +2/+1 and has an equip cost of 2. Again, for limited play, if you have a few pirates, this is probably fine, but anywhere else, it seems a little weak. We've got Anointed Deacon, a 3/3 vampire cleric for 4 and a black. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have target vampire get +2/+0 until end of turn. So, best case, you give it to a vampire with double strike, I suppose. I don't think that's particularly strong, but the art on this is absolutely cool. Just this vampire striking at what I'm guessing is some kind of dinosaur. And just the arc of the blood, that's very cool. Also, in case you hadn't noticed, I'm sort of trying out different things with lighting and autofocus in the Modern Horizons 3 booster video, I felt the autofocus was a little distracting, so I turned that off, and I'm having to manually refocus things, which should hopefully be a bit more pleasant to watch. And there should be way less glare on this one as well. I have finally figured out that you shouldn't point the light directly at your cards, and instead just light up your room a little more. Next up, we've got a Stormfleet Pyromancer, a 3/2 human pirate wizard for 4 in red, with a raid, which not a mechanic I'm too fond of, but let's see what it does. When Stormfleet Pyromancer enters the battlefield, if you attack with a creature this turn, so that's just how raid works, Stormfleet Pyromancer deals 2 damage to target creature or player. The thing that comes to mind immediately for me here is Flame Tongue Kavu, which is kind of just this, but better. Although, you know, human pirate wizard, that's 3 relevant-ish types. I mean, pirate and wizard are relevant to Izzet, so this would work there. Although most Izzet decks aren't focused on attacking, so I don't know what's going on here. Oh, we've got Siren's Ruse. It's an instant for 1 in blue, and this is a representative of one of my favorite mechanics. Exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. And if that card was a pirate, you draw a card. But this is just your basic instant speed flicker. It can protect your creature from targeted removal. It can fizzle targeting abilities of your opponents. Or, at its simplest and probably also best use, it can help you re-trigger enter the battlefield abilities. I really like Flicker. One of the decks that I'm planning to make an EDH deck showcase on is heavily Flicker based. So hopefully that'll come up in the next week or two. Next up we have Jungle Delver, a 1/1 Merfolk Warrior for a green mana. That is wild. Honestly, I don't know if I've seen a mono green Merfolk before. And you can pay 3 and a green to put a +1/+1 counter on it. It seems decent and limited, but not much else really. I think 4 mana for 1 counter is way too slow for most constructed formats. Next up we've got Navigator's Ruin, an enchantment for 1 and a blue with raid. For end step, if you attack with a creature this turn, target opponent puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard. That is a bit of a tough requirement to fulfill, and it's only mill 4. That seems quite bad. Next up is Ruthless Knave, a 3/2 orc pirate for 2 and a black, which then you can pay another 2 and a black and sacrifice this creature to create 2 treasures. Or you can sacrifice 3 treasures to draw a card. I think if it was sacrifice 2 treasures, this might be decent. But as it stands, it seems a little underpowered, which is kind of a running theme with this pack so far. Also, I don't think I really understand what a knave is. I know there's a Yu-Gi-Oh card called Begone Knave, and I know it's some kind of medieval-y fantasy term, but I'll have to look into what that word actually means. Next up we've got a Bright Reprisal, an instant for 4 and white. Destroy target attacking creature, draw a card. So this is the kind of effect where I would say, alright, that's normally worth 2 or 3 mana, and then you tack on, draw a card. Sure, I suppose, again, probably fine and limited. Constructed, you just have better options. That said, the art on this is really cool. Just a nice combat scene with dramatic lighting. That's the kind of thing I like to see. And next up, we have a Deep Root Champion, another mono green merfolk. Was that a thing in Ixalan? I'm not too familiar. I wasn't playing at this time. I remember I was around for Lorwyn and Alara blocks, but I was not playing at the time that this came out. So maybe this was a thing. I should probably look into that, because honestly, mono green merfolk sounds kind of like a fun thing to try and build. But anyway, it's a 1/1 merfolk shaman for 1 and a green, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. So we're looking at a spell slinger mono green creature here. Intriguing. And then we've got a basic island with really, really cool art, honestly. It kind of falls into the standard trap of island cards, which is, that's not an island, but it does have pretty art regardless. And then we have ourselves a dinosaur token, a 3/3 dinosaur with trample. So out of that pack, I don't think there's anything I'm particularly excited about. Siren's Ruse is a card that, because of my affinity with Flicker, I like, but it's a common. I think I have about 5 or 6 copies of this lying around. But art-wise, I think I'm going to have to give it to Bright Reprisal here. I think I'm just going to put this in my general pretty artwork binder, actually, so I'll just set that aside for later. Alright, and then we have our second pack of the day, Rivals of Ixalan, the immediate follow-up. Although I think there was another Ixalan thing that was like a box with set contents. Quite odd. Alright, and we are starting with some removal. Classic black limited removal, 2 black, sorcery speed, destroy a creature. Simple, straightforward. Nothing much to see there. Naturalize. Classic card, really. Instant speed, 1 and green, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Solid, pretty much any time. Although this artwork is a bit odd. It's like an underfoot view of a dinosaur with some kind of artifact under its foot. That's leaning a little bit into fur affinity there. Next up is Mutiny, a sorcery for 1 red mana. Target creature an opponent controls deals damage equal to its power to another target creature that player controls. Probably, I know I say this a lot, fine and limited. Oh, nice, we've got Negate. Do I need to read what this does? I assume most Magic players know Negate. Instant speed, counterspell, obviously, those have to be instant speed. Unless you are a card from Portal, in which case you're a sorcery speed counterspell. Go figure that one out. I mean, this is about as baseline as you can get, but Negate, always solid. I think every time it's printed in standard, it's playable. It's a nice card. Then we've got a Raptor Companion, a 3/1 dinosaur for 1 and a white. Thanks for coming. That's your card. Oh, cool. Dusk Legion Zealot, a 1/1 vampire soldier for 1 and a black. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. This isn't exactly a powerhouse, but it is in one of my favorite EDH decks. Again, I'll have to show you that one someday. Now I've got Evolving Wilds. One of the most ubiquitous cards in EDH, I think. It's a land, tap and sacrifice it, search your library for basic that gets put onto the battlefield tapped. It's about as simple color fixing as you can get, but it works. It does the job on turn 1. Then we've got a Legion Conquistador, a 2/2 vampire soldier for 2 and a white. And When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for any number of cards named Legion Conquistador, reveal them, put them into your hand, and then shuffle your library. I mean, if you get more than one in Limited, that's cool. In any other format, this is probably quite weak. Then we've got a Sailor of Means again. Not going to read that one again, although this is one of those things that they did back in the day, huh? Just reprinting things within the same block. Yep, there you have it. Same card, different set symbol. That's interesting. We've got a Jade Bearer. Mono green merfolk, folks. I'm telling you, it's happening. A 1/1 merfolk shaman for green. And when it enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on another target merfolk you control. So that seems to be the theme here, is mono green merfolk with +1/+1 counters. Sure, why not? Now we've got a Sky Marcher Aspirant. I'm not 100% sure, as you might have heard in my first video. Not my native language. It's a 2/1 vampire soldier for 1 white mana with Ascend. Ascend being a weird little mechanic where if you control 10 or more permanents, you get the City's Blessing, which on its own does nothing. But then there's a bunch of cards that say if you have the City's Blessing, you get some kind of benefit. In this case, if you have the City's Blessing, this guy gets flying. Not super strong, but I suppose a 2/1 for 1 is fine and limited. That might become a catchphrase here, huh? Next up, we have Flood of Recollection, a sorcery for 2 blue mana. Return target instant or sorcery card from graveyard to your hand, then exile Flood of Recollection. So, this has the little Planeswalker logo, watermark, and story spotlight 1 of 3. I'm gonna have to look into the story of this. Who knows, maybe it's really good. Best piece of fiction ever written. Oh, that's cool art. Golden Demise, a sorcery for 1 black with Ascend. So again, if you have 10 or more permanents, you get the City's Blessing. And all creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. But if you have the City's Blessing, it's only creatures your opponents control. That is honestly pretty decent, I think. If you don't have the City's Blessing, it's likely early game, and this is just a 3 mana board wipe. But if you have 10 permanents, it's gonna just punish the token player. And then we've got Sphinx's Decree, a sorcery for 1 and white. Each opponent can't cast instant or sorcery spells during that player's next turn. Yep, that sure is a white card. I think out of every color, white is the one that uses the word can't most frequently. And then we have a basic Plains. Quite nice artwork on that. Let me give you a close-up of that. We've got this sort of tiered soil, which I think is fairly common in South America, or Mesoamerica, which Ixalan is heavily inspired by. So that's quite cool. And then I assume the next thing is a token or something. It sure is. It's an elemental. Wonder what makes that. It's just a 1/1 elemental. So the winner of that pack to me has to be Golden Demise. Seems easily the most playable card we've pulled on this day. So there you have it. That was my Ixalan double feature. Thank you for checking out my channel once again. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.